Hey there, I'm Gemma Lane and I'm a worker here in Victoria, Australia. And means a full service independent escort, which does, which means I sleep with men for money, quite basically. Now, this episode, I'm going to talk about sex work and mental health as being a marginalized group of people working in the sex industry. It's also a very heavily stigmatized and stereotyped industry. Even in Victoria, Australia, where sex work has been legal for a long time and now decriminalised for 2 years, there's still a lot of concerns and impact that mental health, the stigma associated with sex work has on mental health issues. So I have had mental health issues prior to starting at work as a sex worker in 2016. So I had childhood trauma, teen pregnancy, a lot of abusive, dysfunctional relationships, and a lot of neglectful ones as well. And sex work itself actually has helped me a lot with healing a lot of the wounds I had from childhood abuse, where because to be abused when you're abused, your rights are taken away, your voice is taken, you're not allowed to speak the truth. You just have to tolerate what's happening and pretend to be happy and pretend everything's okay, because that's what abusers program. And you're not allowed to set boundaries and say yes or no. You're not allowed to say no to an abuser, because that will just make the abuse worse. So when I started working at 35 years of age in 2016, I was highly depleted. I had several dysfunctional relationships by then, a single mum, and had absolutely zero self-esteem and self-worth, and I was extremely suicidal. And sex work seemed like something to try. It was my last straw. And I had a lot of internalized whorephobia, and as it's so deeply ingrained into the world that a woman accepting cash or money in exchange for sexual encounters is like the worst thing in the world you can do. And I am not religious, but I was still expecting to end up burning in hell, like the devil to come literally out and pull me down into hell after my first few bookings. But guess what? That didn't happen. I'm still here. And I discovered that the sex work industry, as an independent, I've only worked as an independent escort and done online content, so I can't talk about establishments, stripping, and other segments of the industry. Yes, so back to mental health. I had a bit of a brain block then. Sex work, interacting with hundreds of people a day, because back then one of the main advertising platforms, Locanto, was totally free to advertise, and you can advertise in as many locations as you like, and it was all free. So I could put an ad up in several locations to within a certain range of each other, because I didn't mind driving an hour or so back then, and resulted in sometimes 100 plus messages each day of horny guys, asking me about my services, what I offer, what I do, and what I don't do. And that, combined with meeting my earlier clients, meeting some clients over the time frame that weren't good clients, as in they were boundary pushers, and I didn't feel safe with them, and I didn't enjoy the time with them. I didn't want to see them a second time. Led me to create stronger boundaries and being more selective with who I saw as a client, and that has continued to shape and mold over the 9 years. Anyway, thankfully, due to upgrading boundaries and stuff like that, my clientele generally get better and better over all that time. And it helped to improve my mental health. Well, it helped to improve my self-worth and seeing the qualities that I do possess. Because while the world tries to tell us that sex workers aren't valuable or worthy or things like that, and also a lot of people in my family, I had trouble communicating with them. It was sort of gaslit towards me that I had something wrong with my communication skills, and I'd spent a long time, many years, trying to improve my communication skills. But when I was meeting clients regularly, and there's more than just S involved, there is a connection and conversation and things like that involved in the work as well to make a fully enjoyable experience. And many of them were like, I love our conversations. We have good conversations together, and you're a really great person, and blah, blah, blah. All these things that I didn't hear from my family growing up and rarely heard as an adult. Stop, Harley. Dogs wanting attention. I have PMDD phase. Like, I'm trying to do a video. You don't need to dig a hole in the bed. Harley, don't. Yeah, so some of the challenges of being an S worker. So I have still had mental health issues on over for the years, and I had a really terrible landlord and many things, and unsupportive family. In many ways, they could help me occasionally physically on rare occasions, but there was no emotional support from my family, and I was mostly in the closet as an SW, and that will be addressed more in other videos. However, there's a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear to go and get mental health help because I was worried that I'd be stigmatized and that they would just assume that it was my work or me working in the sex industry that was the problem with my mental health, when that was not the problem to a large scale. It has helped my mental health improve a lot, so much so that like last year 2024, when another family drama thing blew up, which will be in my book when I write it, when that blew up, as if a client spoke to me or related to me, how my family and some of my friends I had back then relate to me or speak about me, they would not get a book in with me. They wouldn't be allowed to pay $300, $400, $500 to come spend some time with me, because I just wouldn't tolerate that from a client. So I was like, why am I still tolerating this stuff from family? Which is then, because I was raised to be extremely compliant, a lot of mental and emotional and psychological abuse. And yeah, now I know much of it was not true, because the things that were told to me to make me comply and make other people's lives happier, like the people pleaser, it raised me really good to be a people pleaser. But pleasing these people, there was never going to be able to